Kia ora everyone. Bet you're wondering why I'm here so soon. 2 vlogs in a month. What? Who is she? Yeah, I'm vlogging this week for a bit because I have a fun challenge, reading challenge that I want to do. Julie from Linen Librarian has created a really cool and applicable challenge for a lot of us, I think. It's called Blurb Telephone. And how it works is you take your current read or any book, you check the blurbs. You might see a blurb from someone who you've wanted to read, or you have a book that you've been wanting to read and you make that your next read. And then you take that book and do the same. You search for a good blurb from someone whose book that you might have on your TBR and you make that your next read. And it can go on and on and on. Julie did 3 books. I'm going to try and do 3 books and see how far I can get. I'm starting off with Dogs of Summer by Andrea Abreu. This is a hot new book that lots of people have been raving about, that I've been wanting to read. I'm reading it this month because it's the Sunny's book truck book club pick. So this is where I'm going to start. I'm not going to mention the other books that I'm going to read until I've finished this one. So you'll just have to wait and see what else I've got lined up. If you want to participate, go check out Julie's vlog that she did on it. It was also really interesting to see the themes that the books all shared that she read and how they kind of related to one another, the conversations that they were having, perhaps how the writers influenced each other. So yeah, I'm excited for that as well. And you bet your bottom dollar I will be using my Sunny's bookmark for this cutie. Okay, it's Thursday today and we're off to work. It's going to be a pretty busy weekend for me, I think, as well. So it'll be interesting to see how well I can do at this, because we all know I have the best of intentions when it comes to, like, I'm going to read 3 books in a week. But we will see. I got a lot going on. I'm going to try and use my time wisely. Downtime is for reading. Hey, Mars! He's not listening. Cool. Okay. Off to work we go. I'm excited for this. I'm really excited. Friday. Yay! I'm so excited about the weekend.
Rupert. What?
I'm vlogging. Yeah, it's a busy weekend this weekend, so I'm gonna try and get a lot of reading done tonight, but I am babysitting. They're bringing her around here and we're just gonna hang out while they're at dinner. Rupert's going out. Mars will be here. It's gonna be a lot of fun. And then tomorrow we have puppy training in the morning, and then my best friend is moving back to the UK, which is very sad. So tomorrow we are having one last lunch together. We'll come back here tomorrow before she has to fly out, and we'll just kind of spend some time together before she goes. And then great excuse to book a holiday for the UK soon. So we'll just have to do that. But busy weekend, busy weekend. Sunday, no plans. really, really loving this book. I'm like nearly 50 pages in, and I'm loving the narrator. She is, I don't know how old they're supposed to be, but she's 10. Okay, that's much younger than I thought. And it kind of makes sense. So the two girls that are the center of the story, the one who's narrating, is she's showing her kind of young, naive self, but then there are real moments where she's kind of trying to be older that I can somewhat relate to. It has this real kind of like sassy vibe to it that I'm loving. These two young girls who think that grown adults, and I guess in a lot of ways like they're on the precipice of that, and so it's this kind of very charged, exciting time for them both where, sorry, they're not on the precipice of being adults, but they are on the precipice of like that teenagehood, that moving from being children into being like young women, and yeah, just the energy that you can feel in the story through that, and kind of the rebellion that they're wanting to live out is just fun to read. Like I don't think I've read a child narrated story before that I have enjoyed as much as this one, so I'm loving it. I'm hoping that I can read some tonight while I'm looking after Isabella. I'm also going to order a takeaway tonight because that's what I do. It's probably going to be Thai because it's my favourite. Yeah. Okay, bye. Doing good. Today's Sunday. I am a little bit sad today because yesterday I said goodbye to my best friend. She is moving back to the UK. She's probably like halfway there already. She flew out last night. We spent the day together yesterday. Yeah, it's hard. It sucked having to say goodbye. It's weird to think that she is not going to be like a 5-minute, 10-minute drive away anymore. So, yeah, it's kind of letting those feelings sit with me today. And other related themes of female friendships, I finished Dogs of Summer this morning. Maz and I chilled in bed while I finished this, and it was really good. I really loved it. It is, yeah, it feels like a really special kind of book. The way that it portrays those young friendships and girls, and in a very real and kind of believable way. There, yeah, were a lot of relatable moments in this book that I remember very well growing up, and the difficulties of fostering and keeping friendships it's a hard world to navigate, and I felt like this captured it very well in its like pure essence of summer and it being this time of freedom. It reminded me a lot of like summers where cousins would come and stay, and you know, it was almost like feeling as though we could do whatever we wanted and that the world was like so open to us, and this book has that feeling to it. Not a lot happens in the book. It's just following these two girls who are 10. They live on the Canary Islands and it's summertime, they're off from school. They both desperately just want to go to the beach, and it's really just about them finding adventures during the summer, exploring, I guess, their own bodies, and the lens through which we see much of the story is from the perspective of one of the girls and her kind of longing and desire for closeness with her friend Isolda, and how that feels and what that looks like, and just how at times really naive it is and just pure. Pure is the best word for it. Just a pure book about what it feels like to be young and to have a best friend and to be discovering things together. I will recommend this book highly for everyone to read. It was great. So on the back there are a bunch of blurbs, and there is one here. I'll read it out to you. Dogs of Summer will thump through your heart and mind, a novel that consumes and sentences to die for. That blurb is from Amina Cain, the author of Indelicacy, which, you guessed it, is going to be my next read for this little challenge. I have heard a lot of people talking about this book recently and how amazing it is, how much they love it, so I am very excited. It is about a woman who is a cleaner at an art museum. She so desperately wants to be able to just write, and so chooses to marry a rich man in order to try to achieve that life of an artist, but I think is struggling with that decision and what it really means. There are some buzzwords here. It says it's a novel about seeing, class, desire, anxiety, pleasure, friendship, and the battle to find one's true calling. So I feel like there are going to be some interesting similarities between these two books. Desire, friendship, longing, all that kind of stuff. I'm excited for this book to be my next one. Do want to try and get through a bit of this today because I would love to read 3 books for this little challenge. It's been a bit of a full-on day. I'm not like busy or anything, but just very tired, very drained. I thought I would fill you in on this. I am about 45 pages into it, and yeah, so far it's fine. It feels like a bit of a quiet story, which is quite nice. The pace compared to Dogs of Summer has definitely slowed down a bit. Just the story being told feels like it's quite open, and there is a lot of room to rest between the words, if that makes sense. Much like what the blurb says, the narrator of this story is a cleaner at a museum who doesn't want to be cleaning museums. She wants to be able to spend all of her time writing. She spends a lot of time between cleaning, looking at art and contemplating it and wanting to write about it. She has a friend who she also works with that she kind of desires to be close with, and she often thinks about her when they're not together, or does really thoughtful things for her. I'm at the point in the book where she has now met her husband. They've gotten married and she has left her job as a cleaner and now has time in her day to write. Now that she's married, this man has a cleaner in the house that they live in and is feeling somewhat conflicted about that, as she was in this woman's position not very long ago. So yeah, that's kind of all that's happened so far. I definitely don't think this is going to be a book where a lot happens, but I am finding it quite a quick, easy read. Some similarities that I can see between this book and Dogs of Summer have been the female friendships, the kind of longing and desire for closeness in those relationships, and yeah, just the very internal contemplative narration, although very different, but following a similar format as well, so not really knowing how time is passing. It's kind of just bits here and there. Yeah. So I've just gone to have my morning cereal and we don't have any milk. I'm devastated. But I think this is a good excuse to get myself a little chocolate croissant for breakfast. It's Monday, so we got to try and make this exciting in some way. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to get a croissant and a coffee on my walk to work. But first, I want to quickly chat about this book. I had like some clear thoughts while I was reading it this morning and I really should have written them down, but whatever. There's a part of me that feels as though she is like trying to perform as a writer. She has spent so much of her time kind of yearning for this writer lifestyle, and now that she has it, or now that she has the time to be able to dedicate to it, it's as if it just feels a bit performed or put on. Yeah, definitely getting a bit of an identity crisis from this woman. She doesn't really know what or who she is, or how to even be, so a lot of it is her, I guess, trying to figure that out, but in some ways it feels just unnatural for her. Yeah, I feel feelings, but I don't know if they're like accurate or not. I know that Ben Green has just finished this book, so Ben, let me know. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna go croissant. Good morning. I have not finished Indelicacy like I thought I would yesterday. I kind of fell asleep reading it last night. I'm not gonna lie, it's not a riveting book, and I think off the back of Dogs of Summer, it's an interesting kind of pace. I think I am warming up to it though. I'm getting used to the style of writing and the contemplative nature of it from our narrator. She's kind of interesting though. She has really taken to this new lifestyle of being like a rich wife in a way that feels, I don't know, it's funny. She's kind of, I think I mentioned before, like she's playing these different roles because she doesn't quite know where she fits or what she is. It's as though she's playing a caricature version of what she feels like a rich housewife should be, and the same with a writer, and the same with a friend, and the same with an employer. She is, slowly kind of becoming more of a character through these different roles that she has inherited in a way, I guess. Yeah, so that's where I'm at with the book. I think I've got like 40 pages to go, so not far from finishing. And then we'll pick up the next one probably later on today. I'm going to try and read a bit while I eat my breakfast this morning, because we actually do have milk today, so I can eat my cereal. Hello. I finished Indelicacy. I finished it on my walk to work this morning. It's a bit of a weird book. I know that a lot of people recently have read this, talked about it, and raved about it, but I kind of just don't really get it. I don't understand why everyone thinks it's so special. To me, this is kind of quite an average book. There was some nice writing at certain parts. I think I've talked about the way that the narrator talks about art and musings on her life, but overall I am starting to get really frustrated with these boring books about privileged white women complaining about their lives. Towards the end, she starts to show signs of like quite odd behavior. She seems to really be leaning into, I'm rich, therefore I can do what I want. Character, that bothered me in a lot of ways. I don't know whether it's because I feel as though she shouldn't be that way because of where she's come from, but I don't know. Yeah, just an okay book. I guess if you've read this book and you liked it, let me know what I might potentially be missing, but it's definitely one of those books that I'm just like, I don't know, skip it. It lacked any kind of real substance for me. Like, this book just felt very meh. That's all I can say. I don't know, it's not really setting me up to like propel me to want to read the next read, but we are doing a blurb telephone, so I am going to read one more book in this vlog. There are a bunch of books on the back, blurbs on the back, all of which are by authors of books that I don't own. I don't own any books by these authors, so I kind of got a bit stuck here with this one when I was deciding which 3 books I wanted to read. And then I saw on the back that one of the blurbs refers to The Hour of the Star by Clarice Lispector, which is one of my favourite books. And there's also an epigraph from Clarice Lispector's book, The Apple in the Dark. Now, I don't own that book. And I did put it on hold at the library, but it hasn't come through yet. So I have decided instead to read a different Clarice Lispector book. Oh, let me actually read the epigraph. So it says, "It's as if something that should have happened is waiting for me. It's something that owes itself to me. It looks like me. It's almost myself. But it never gets close. You can call it fate if you want, because I've tried to go out and meet it." Yeah, I hope that book comes through from the library, because I would love to read it, but we're going with what we've got, which is probably better suited for this challenge of trying to work through books that I already own. We're going to read An Apprentice or The Book of Pleasures by Clarice Lispector. Yeah, I have heard a lot of good things about this book. It sounds like it's probably one of her more plotty books, and I think that's good because Lispector has a way of being quite weird and sometimes can be, you have to be in the right mood for it. So I think a plotty book at this point would be a good way to go. So this is the last book in the blurb telephone that I'll be reading, And I mean, I could keep going. There's an afterword by Sheila Hedy in this one, so who knows. It's definitely a fun thing that could dictate essentially your whole year's worth of reading if you just started with one book and slowly made your way through your entire library until you got to the end of the year. Wouldn't that be a fun challenge? Nope, that's not what we're doing. We're reading this. It's about a school teacher who she is not really comfortable around adults, and she finds herself most comfortable around children. And then a professor comes into her life, kind of shakes things up for her. So it sounds like it might be a bit of a love story. It says, in An Apprentice, Clarice Lispector explores the ways in which people try to bridge the gaps between them, and the result, an unusual love story. Surprised many readers and became a bestseller. Some appreciated its accessibility, others denounced it. To both admirers and critics, the Olympian Clarice gave a typical elliptical answer. I humanized myself, she said. The book reflects that. I like that. That sounds great. I'm excited to read this, to start this tonight. I feel like this challenge has definitely got me out of my reading slump. So thank you, Julie, for doing this just for me. I really appreciate it so much. Oh, morning. I have hurt myself this morning, and so if you see me twisting and turning like that, it's because I've hurt my neck and I have a chiropractor appointment at 10 o'clock today. Book. Let's talk about this book. An Apprenticeship or the Book of Pleasures by Clarice Lispector. Weird book. I mean, are we surprised? Clarice does weird the best. Really great sentences. Like, nothing like a bit of Clarice Lispector to give you an existential crisis about being a human, I would say. This is what this book feels like it's gonna touch on. A lot of what it means to be human, what it means to love, how that really can spin your existence on its head. That's what I feel like this book is going to do. The description on the back says that Laurie is a primary school teacher, is isolated and nervous, comfortable with children but unable to connect with adults. None of that stuff has been referred to yet, and I am 37 pages in. But she meets a professor of philosophy named Ulysses, and he seems to be both opening her up to things she's never experienced before, like love and desire and yearning, but at the same time he is causing her a lot of pain and anguish. He is this real torturous kind of character for her. Nothing has happened. Nothing has happened other than she has perhaps hallucinated a couple of scenes. Yeah, really strange, but I'm loving what she has to say. That's about it, really. That's all I've got so far. I'm off to get a deep tissue massage, which is like low-key the only kind of massage I like. I don't like relaxing massages. I think they're a waste of time, and I don't want a stranger touching me for that long in order to relax me. Whereas a deep tissue massage feels like it has a purpose. So it's going to be fine. Also, shout out to Fitzcarraldo for sending me this arc of Stillborn by Guadalupe Nettel. I requested this, I want to say, like back in May. Claire, who works at Fitzcarraldo, she is also a New Zealander, and she made it her mission to make sure I got this book, so I'm going to email her and thank her, but just let it be known in the universe. Thank you, Claire, for thinking of us all the way down here and making sure that Aotearoa gets good arcs too, because I wasn't sure it was ever going to arrive, and when it did today I was very surprised, so I am very grateful and happy about that. I'm going to take my book and sit in the waiting room while I wait for my massage, and yeah. Book mail and some non-book mail. Well, I would open it up. This is from Text Publishing. I think I know what it is, but they do send me random books sometimes, so it could be something completely different. It is what I thought it was. It's Bliss Montage by Ling Ma, a collection of short stories. Everyone has been talking about this and how much they love this collection, so yeah, wanted to give it a go. I am excited. I've not read Severance. Not sure if it's like my cup of tea, but I feel like I can try this short story collection to see how I feel about Ling Ma and go from there. So thank you, Text Publishing. That is very kind. Still reading this. Haven't read much in the last couple of days because it's been like somewhat a busy last couple of days, but it's Friday and it's a public holiday on Monday, which is awesome. Thank you to Queen Liz for dying so that we could have a public holiday. I guess that's one of the perks of being a colonised country. Yeah, I plan on finishing this book because something else exciting is happening on Sunday that we'll save for another vlog. We've got to focus. Focus on finishing this, and then we can talk about what's happening next. Okay, cool. Finished this book. I don't know whether this is like the best thing to try to wrap this up after just finishing it, but I kind of want to get this vlog edited and up today, so I will attempt to give some cohesive thoughts. I will say The Afterword by Sheila Hedy, brilliant. Confirmed a lot of the thoughts that I had throughout the reading, but I'm never quite sure they're accurate when reading something as philosophical and thought heavy as a book like this one. Like, it's slim, be prepared to use your brain a lot. Yeah, it's a love story, but not in the traditional sense of what you would think a love story is. We have the character of Laurie, who we hear from the perspective of through much of it. She is confronted with how to become a human being in life and how she is going to be able to be with this man Ulysses in love, while at the same time trying to prepare herself for that, if that makes sense. Yeah, I would say it's really about these two characters kind of struggling with being ready for this kind of love and the ongoing work that they are both trying to do in order to get there for one another. It is about anguish and desire and pain, and then there are really beautiful moments of discovery and joy for the character Laurie. Yeah, just really kind of quite an interesting type of book that I wasn't expecting. I mean, I think at the beginning of this I said that I thought this book was going to be super plotty, but it's definitely not that. There is a sense of a plot, but not really. It's mostly just these characters interacting through Laurie's perspective, and then moments where she's alone, she is yearning for him, and then she is discovering these really amazing things and beautiful things on her own, which was some of my favourite parts, in fact. I did not like the character of Ulysses one bit. Could not understand why Laurie is so drawn to him, other than him being quite charismatic, I think, and charming. He was just a pig, and he said some really horrible things to her, and there were moments where I felt like she was standing up for herself against him in those moments, but ultimately she wants to be with him, and she loves the way she feels and who she is when she's with him and the things he provokes in her. So it wasn't your typical love story in it, but it definitely has an interesting look at what love is, and ultimately what it means to be human, and how we try to connect, relate to one another. Very philosophical, very existential, very, very good. Very much enjoyed this book. That is Blurb Telephone Challenge complete. I read 3 books and I feel so good for that. I feel like this was a really fun way to easily pick next reads, and a fun little exercise to think about how they might relate to one another. Definitely the theme of this week's reading has been yearning, desire, connection, closeness in relationships, and how those feelings are all quite universal and common amongst us flawed beings. Happy to have participated in this fun challenge. Thank you, Julie, for creating this, and go watch Julie's video if you are interested in doing this challenge, wrapping this baby up. If you have made it this far, thank you so much, because I know that this video is going to be much longer than most of my vlogs, but I hope it was worth it. I hope it was interesting. I hope you have maybe found a book that you want to read that you didn't know about before, or you were on the fence about something, now you want to read it. That would be great. Let me know if you've read these books and what you thought about them, thoughts, opinions. Anyone who wants to challenge me in any of those things, always welcome. It's been a great vlog. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Ka kite.